The jungle air was thick and hot. Captain Jake Morrison wiped sweat from his face as he looked at the broken ship behind him. The Aurora lay in pieces across the jungle floor. 3 days ago, they had been flying through space. Now they were stuck on this green planet with no way home. Jake turned to look at his crew. 12 people sat around their small camp. Dr. Amy Foster was studying plant samples. Corpsman Nick Bailey was checking their medical supplies. Lisa Grant was trying to fix their broken radio. Carlos Rivera worked on the ship's engine parts scattered everywhere. "Any luck with the radio?" Jake asked Lisa. She shook her head. "The main transmitter is dead. We can receive signals, but we cannot send any." "What about the engine, Carlos?" Carlos looked up from the metal pieces. "The jump drive is broken beyond repair. We need parts we do not have." Jake nodded. He had expected this news, but it still hurt to hear it. They were truly stuck on this planet. The air was good to breathe, and there was water nearby. But this was not home. Dr. Foster walked over with a strange blue flower in her hands. "Captain, this planet has amazing plant life. I have found at least 30 new species just around our camp." "That is good, Amy, but right now we need to focus on survival and getting rescued." "I understand, but some of these plants might be useful. This flower, for example, seems to have natural antibiotic properties." Jake was about to respond when Nick Bailey pointed to the sky. "Captain, look up there." High above the jungle, a silver ship moved through the clouds. It was much larger than the Aurora and had a design Jake had never seen before. The ship was long and narrow with sharp edges. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. "That is not a human ship," Lisa said quietly. The alien ship circled their position 3 times, then landed in a clearing about half a mile away. The jungle shook as the massive craft touched down. Birds flew away in all directions. Jake gathered his crew together. "This could be our chance for rescue, but we need to be careful. We do not know if these aliens are friendly." "Should we take weapons?" asked Nick. "Just sidearms. We want to look ready but not threatening." The crew prepared quickly. Jake, Lisa, Amy, Carlos, and Nick would go to meet the aliens. The others would stay and guard their camp. They walked through the thick jungle toward the alien ship. Vines hung from tall trees. Strange insects buzzed around them. The ground was soft and covered with dead leaves. As they got closer, they could see the alien ship clearly. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of the Aurora. Steam came from vents along its bottom. The metal looked dark and strong. A doorway opened in the side of the ship. Light poured out. Then the aliens appeared. Jake had seen pictures of aliens in movies and books, but this was different. These were real. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but they were much taller. Their skin looked like green leather with scales. Sharp spines grew from their backs and arms. Their heads were long with yellow eyes and rows of small teeth. The lead alien was the biggest. He wore dark armor with bright blue markings. A weapon hung from his belt. Behind him came 6 other aliens, all armed and ready. The aliens stopped, about 20 feet away from the humans. The leader stepped forward and spoke. His voice was deep and rough. "I am Commander Vextar Shadowclaw of the Zilithian Empire. You are the creatures from the crashed vessel." Jake stepped forward slowly. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. We are humans from the planet Earth. Our ship was damaged and we crashed here." Vextar looked at Jake with cold yellow eyes. "Humans, yes, we have heard of your kind, a young species that has barely left its homeworld. We come in peace," Jake said. "We are explorers, not warriors." The alien commander laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Peace. How typical of weak species to speak of peace when they have no power." Lisa moved closer to Jake. She spoke in a calm voice. "Commander Vextar, we ask for your help. Our ship is broken. We cannot leave this planet without assistance." "Help?" Vextar's eyes narrowed. "Why would the mighty Zilithian Empire help primitive humans?" "Because helping others is the right thing to do," Amy said. This made Vextar angry. His spine stood up and his yellow eyes glowed brighter. "Right thing? You know nothing of right and wrong, small creature. The Zilithian Empire decides what is right. The other aliens raise their weapons. Jake held up his hands to show he was not armed. We do not want trouble, Jake said. We just want to go home. Home? Vexitar walked closer. Your home is now. Wherever the Empire sends you. You will surrender all your technology. Your people will be relocated to a work colony. This is the mercy of the Empire. Carlos stepped forward angrily. You cannot do that. We are free people. Free? Vexitar grabbed Carlos by the shirt and lifted him off the ground with one hand. You are nothing. Insects, your entire species, could not defeat one Zilithian warrior. Jake wanted to help Carlos, but he knew fighting would get them all killed. Please put him down. We can discuss this calmly. Vexitar threw Carlos to the ground. There is nothing to discuss. You will obey or you will die. The tension in the clearing grew thick. The aliens kept their weapons ready. The humans stood together, knowing they were outgunned and outnumbered. Then the buzzing started. At first, it was quiet, like the sound of distant bees, but it got louder quickly. Amy looked up at the trees around them. Everyone be very still, she whispered. Something is coming. The buzzing became a roar. Through the trees came a cloud of insects, unlike anything Jake had ever seen. They were the size of small birds with clear wings that moved so fast they were invisible. Their bodies glowed with a pale blue light. Jungle wasps, Amy said quietly. They must have been disturbed by the ship landing. Vexitar looked up at the swarm with concern. Even he seemed worried about these creatures. Do not move, one of the other aliens said. They attack anything that moves too quickly. But it was too late. The swarm descended on the clearing like a living storm. Aliens and humans alike dove for cover as the insects filled the air around them. In the chaos, Jake saw the largest insect of all diving straight at Commander Vexitar. It was twice the size of the others with long, sharp spines on its tail. Before anyone could react, the giant insect struck the alien commander in the neck. Vexitar roared in pain and grabbed at the insect, crushing it in his powerful hands. But the damage was done. Black liquid dripped from the wound on his neck. The alien commander staggered and fell to his knees. His yellow eyes went wide with fear and pain. The other aliens rushed to help him, but Jake could see it was already too late. Whatever poison the insect had injected was working fast. Vexitar fell forward onto his hands and knees. The black liquid from the insect bite spread down his neck like spilled ink. His breathing became fast and shallow. Commander! The alien medic rushed to his side. This one was smaller than the others, with white markings on his armor. I am Sub-Commander Kraith. Stay still. Do not try to move. Kraith pulled out a small device and ran it over the bite wound. The device beeped and flashed red lights. The medic's face showed worry. What is it? Asked one of the other aliens. Unknown toxin, Kraith said. The scanner cannot identify the poison. I have never seen anything like this. Vexitar tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. How long do I have? Kraith looked at his scanner again. The poison is spreading through your nervous system. At this rate, maybe 1 hour, maybe less. The other aliens looked at each other with fear. Their mighty commander was dying and they could do nothing to help him. Take him back to the ship, said the largest alien soldier. Our medical bay has better equipment. No. Kraith shook his head. Moving him will make the poison spread faster. He needs treatment now. Jake watched all of this happen. Part of him wanted to feel happy that the alien commander was hurt. After all, Vexitar had threatened to make slaves of all humans. But Jake was not that kind of person. He could not watch anyone die when he might be able to help. Dr. Foster, Jake said quietly to Amy. Do you know anything about this kind of poisoning? Amy was already studying the dead insect that Vexitar had crushed. She held it carefully in her hands and looked at its stinger. It is similar to some earth insects, she whispered back. The poison seems to be a neurotoxin. It blocks the signals between nerves and muscles. Can it be treated? Maybe, but we would need the right medicine, and I do not think these aliens have what we need. Jake looked at the dying alien commander. Vextar's spines, which had been bright blue-green, were turning black. His arms shook as he tried to hold himself up. "We have to try to help." "Jake," said Lisa, grabbed his arm. "Jake, are you crazy? He was going to make us slaves. Why should we help him?" "Because it is the right thing to do. And because if he dies, his soldiers might blame us." Carlos was still on the ground where Vextar had thrown him. He stood up slowly and brushed dirt from his clothes. "The captain is right," Carlos said. "If their commander dies here, they will probably kill all of us." Nick Bailey was already moving toward the aliens with his medical kit. "I am a medic," he called out. "I might be able to help." The alien soldiers pointed their weapons at Nick. One of them spoke in a harsh voice. "Stay back, human. Do not come closer." But Kreeth looked up from his patient. "Wait. Let him approach. Our commander is dying. What harm can this human do that is worse than death?" Nick walked slowly toward Vextar. The alien soldiers kept their weapons ready, but did not fire. Nick knelt down beside the alien commander and opened his medical kit. "I need to see the wound," Nick said to Kreeth. The alien medic moved aside. Nick looked at the bite mark on Vextar's neck. The skin around it was turning purple and black. Nick had seen similar wounds before during his training. "This is a neurotoxin," Nick said. "It is shutting down his nervous system. His muscles will stop working, then his breathing, then his heart." "Can you treat it?" Kreeth asked. Nick looked through his medical supplies. He had bandages, pain medicine, and basic drugs, but nothing that could fight this kind of poison. "I do not have the right medicine here," Nick said. "On Earth, we would use a special drug to block the toxin, but I do not have any with me." Amy walked over to join them. She still held the dead insect in her hands. "May I examine your commander?" she asked Kreeth. The alien medic looked uncertain, but Vextar managed to nod his head slightly. Amy knelt down and looked at the wound. Then she studied the dead insect again. She pulled out a small scanner from her kit and ran it over both the wound and the insect. "The toxin is blocking acetylcholine," Amy said. "That is why his muscles are failing." "What is acetylcholine?" asked Kreeth. "It is a chemical that carries signals from nerves to muscles. Without it, the muscles cannot work." Vextar's breathing was getting worse. His chest barely moved up and down. His yellow eyes were losing their bright glow. "Is there anything we can do?" Jake asked. Amy stood up and walked a few steps away. She was thinking hard. Nick could see her mind working through the problem. "There might be something," Amy said, slowly. "On Earth, some plants and foods can help with this kind of poisoning. They contain chemicals that can boost acetylcholine levels." "What kind of plants?" Nick asked. "Things with high levels of quercetin and sulfur compounds. But we would need a lot of them, and they would have to be very fresh." The alien soldiers were getting angry and scared. Their commander was clearly dying, and the humans seemed to be doing nothing useful. "Enough talk," shouted one of the soldiers. "Our commander dies while you waste time with words." "We should take him to the ship," said another. "At least he can die with honor among his own kind." But Kreeth held up a hand to stop them. "No. Moving him now will kill him faster. These humans know more about this poison than we do. Let them try." Vextar was now lying on his side. His powerful body, which had seemed so strong before, now looked weak and helpless. His spines continued to turn from blue to black. "How much time does he have?" Jake asked. Kreeth checked his scanner again. "The poison is moving toward his heart and lungs. Maybe 30 minutes. Amy paced back and forth, still thinking. "We need something with the right chemicals. Something fresh and strong." "What about the plants around here?" Carlos asked. "Dr. Foster said this planet has many useful plants." "I have been studying the local plants for 3 days," Amy said. "None of them have what we need. At least not in high enough concentrations." Nick was checking Vextar's pulse. It was getting weaker and more irregular. "His heart is starting to fail," Nick said. "Whatever we are going to do, we need to do it soon." The alien soldiers stood around their dying commander. Some of them had lowered their weapons. Others kept them pointed at the humans as if blaming them for what had happened. Jake looked at his team. They had come to this planet as explorers, seeking new worlds and new knowledge. Now they faced their first real test as representatives of humanity. "We have to find a way to save him," Jake said. "Not just because it is right, but because it might be the only way to save ourselves." Vextar's eyes found Jake's face. Even though the alien commander was dying, there was still intelligence in those yellow eyes. He seemed to be studying Jake, trying to understand what kind of person would help an enemy. "Why?" Vextar whispered, his voice barely audible. "Because life has value," Jake said. "Even the life of someone who threatens us." Vextar's eyes closed. His breathing became even more shallow. Time was running out fast. Amy stopped pacing and looked at Nick. "What do you have in your medical kit that contains sulfur compounds?" Nick went through his supplies again. "Nothing strong enough. Maybe some vitamins, but not nearly enough to help." "What about our food supplies?" Carlos suggested. "Maybe something we brought from Earth." Amy's eyes suddenly went wide. She looked at Carlos with excitement. "Carlos, what did you have for lunch today?" Carlos looked confused. "Just a sandwich. Why?" "What kind of sandwich?" "Ham and cheese with onion. Lots of onion." "Why does it matter?" Amy smiled for the first time since the aliens had arrived. "Because onion might be exactly what we need." Amy grabbed Carlos by the shoulders. "Where is your lunch? Do you still have the onion?" Carlos pointed toward their camp. "Yes, I left half of my sandwich back there." "But Amy, how can an onion help him? Onions are full of sulfur compounds and—" "Quercetin," Amy said quickly. "They are exactly what we need to fight this kind of poison." Nick looked at Amy with doubt. "Are you sure about this? Using food as medicine?" "I have seen it work before," Amy said. "Not on aliens, but the chemistry should be the same. Onions can boost acetylcholine production in the nervous system." Jake made a quick decision. "Carlos, go get that onion. Run as fast as you can." Carlos took off toward their camp. He crashed through the jungle, pushing branches out of his way. The alien soldiers watched him go with confusion. Kreith looked at Amy with his large alien eyes. "You think this onion can save our commander?" "I think it is our only chance," Amy said. "Your medical scanners cannot identify the poison, so your medicine cannot treat it. But sometimes the old ways work better than new technology." "Old ways?" Kreith seemed confused. "Humans have been using plants and foods as medicine for thousands of years. Long before we had advanced scanners and synthetic drugs, Vextar was getting worse by the minute. His breathing was so weak that his chest barely moved. The black color from the poison was spreading down his arms and legs. His nervous system is shutting down," Nick said. "We have maybe 10 minutes, before his heart stops completely." The alien soldiers were getting more agitated. One of them, a large warrior with red markings on his armor, stepped forward. "This is madness," the soldier said. "You want to treat our mighty commander with food, scraps? It is an insult to the Zilithian Empire." "Your commander is dying," Jake said firmly. "Would you rather have him die with pride or live with humility?" The soldier raised his weapon toward Jake. "Do not speak to me about pride, human." But Kreith put a hand on the soldier's arm. "Wait, Draktor. Look at our commander. He is beyond the help of our medicine. What harm can their treatment do that is worse than death?" Vextar opened his yellow eyes with great effort. He looked at Amy and tried to speak. "Try it," he whispered. Carlos came running back through the jungle. He was breathing hard and covered with sweat. In his hands he carried half of a sandwich with thick slices of white onion. "Here it is," Carlos said, handing the sandwich to Amy. Amy pulled out the onion slices and examined them. They were fresh and strong-smelling. Perfect for what she needed. "Nick, I need your medical kit," Amy said. "We have to prepare this properly." "What are you going to do?" Nick asked as he opened his kit. "First, we make a paste from the raw onion. The sulfur compounds work better when they are broken down. Then we apply it directly to the wound site." Amy used Nick's medical tools to crush and grind the onion slices. The strong smell filled the air around them. Even the aliens seemed to react to the sharp odor. "This smell," said Kreith. "It is very powerful." That is the sulfur, Amy explained as she worked. The stronger the smell, the more active compounds are in the onion. She mixed the crushed onion with a small amount of water from Nick's medical supplies. This created a thick, white paste that smelled very strong. The alien soldier, Dractor, watched this with disgust. You cannot put food waste on our commander's wound. It is beneath his dignity. Dignity will not save his life, Amy said without looking up from her work. Vextar's condition continued to worsen. His skin was now more black than green. His breathing was so shallow that it was hard to tell if he was still alive. Amy, we need to hurry, Nick said. I'm losing his pulse. Amy finished preparing the onion paste. She also set aside some fresh onion pieces. Creeth, can you help me clean the wound site? Amy asked. The alien medic used his medical scanner to sterilize the area around the bite mark. Amy then carefully applied the onion paste directly to the wound. The reaction was immediate. The paste began to foam and bubble as it mixed with the alien poison. Vextar's body jerked slightly, which was actually a good sign. It meant his nervous system was responding. Now for the hard part, Amy said. We need to get some of this onion into his system internally. How? Asked Nick. He needs to eat some of it. The compounds have to get into his bloodstream to fight the poison that has already spread. This created a new problem. Vextar was barely conscious and could not chew or swallow properly. Amy thought for a moment, then took action. She squeezed juice from the fresh onion pieces into Nick's medical water bottle. This created a strong-tasting liquid medicine. We need to get this into his mouth just a little at a time, Amy said. Nick understood. He carefully tilted Vextar's head back and used a small tube from his medical kit to drip the onion liquid into the alien commander's mouth. At first, nothing happened. Vextar's body remained still and unresponsive. The alien soldiers watched with a mixture of hope and doubt. Then, slowly, something began to change. The black color in Vextar's spine started to lighten. Not much, but enough to notice. His breathing became slightly stronger. Is it working? Carlos asked. I think so, Amy said. But we need to give it time. The onion compounds have to neutralize all the poison in his system. Creeth was running his medical scanner over Vextar constantly. I am detecting changes in his nerve activity. The signals are getting stronger. For the next hour, they continued the treatment. Amy applied fresh onion paste to the wound every few minutes. Nick gave Vextar small amounts of the onion liquid whenever he could swallow. The alien soldiers stood guard around them. Some seemed hopeful. Others, especially Dractor, remained skeptical and angry. This human medicine is primitive, Dractor said. If our commander dies from this treatment, I will kill all of them myself. If our commander dies, said another soldier, it will be because of the poison, not because of their help. As time passed, the improvement became more obvious. Vextar's spines continued to return to their normal blue-green color. His breathing became deeper and more regular. His skin started to look healthier. Most importantly, he began to respond to sounds and touch. When Creeth spoke to him, Vextar's eyes would move. When Amy adjusted the onion paste on his wound, he would twitch slightly. Commander, Creeth said softly. Can you hear me? Vextar's eyes opened. They were still weak, but the bright yellow glow was returning. I hear you, Vextar whispered. His voice was stronger than before. The alien soldiers let out sounds of relief and joy. Even Dractor seemed happy, though he tried to hide it. Amy continued to monitor the treatment. The onion compounds are working faster than I expected. His alien biology might actually process them more efficiently than human biology would. Nick checked Vextar's pulse. His heart rate is stabilizing. Blood pressure is improving. I think he is going to make it. Jake felt a huge weight lift from his shoulders. Not only had they saved the alien commander's life, but they had done it using the most simple and basic treatment imaginable. Vextar slowly turned his head to look at Amy. His yellow eyes focused on her face. You saved me, he said quietly. Amy smiled. We all did. Humans work together to solve problems. With an onion, Vextar said. There was wonder in his voice. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones, Amy replied. Vextar closed his eyes again, but this time he was resting, not dying. His breathing was steady and strong. The black poison marks continued to fade from his skin. Kreith ran full scans of his commander. All vital signs are returning to normal. The neurotoxin levels are dropping rapidly. This treatment is completely effective. The alien medic looked at Amy with newfound respect. How did you know this would work? I studied the poison and recognized the symptoms, Amy said. On Earth, we have learned that many plants and foods can be powerful medicine. You just have to know how to use them. Draktor walked over to Amy. For a moment, Jake thought the soldier might still be angry, but instead Draktor bowed his head slightly. I apologize for doubting you, human, Draktor said. You have saved the life of our commander with wisdom I did not understand. Amy accepted the apology gracefully. We are all learning here. Your people have technology we have never seen. We have knowledge that you find surprising. Perhaps we can learn from each other. Vexitar opened his eyes again and looked at Jake. Captain Morrison, come here. Jake walked over and knelt beside the alien commander. How are you feeling? Weak, but alive, thanks to your people. Vexitar paused to gather his strength. I owe you a debt I can never repay. 2 hours later, Vexitar was sitting up against a fallen log. His color had returned to normal and his breathing was strong. The wound on his neck was healing well under Amy's onion treatment. I cannot believe it, Kreith said as he studied his medical readings. The human treatment has completely neutralized the toxin. Not only that, but his recovery is faster than any medicine we have could have achieved. Vextar looked at the crushed remains of his sandwich that had saved his life. A simple onion from your lunch. How is this possible? Amy sat nearby, still monitoring his condition. Nature has been making medicine longer than any civilization has existed. Plants develop chemicals to protect themselves from insects and diseases. We just learned how to use those same chemicals to help ourselves. But your people do not have advanced medical technology like ours, said Draktor. How can primitive methods work better than our scanners and synthetic drugs? Nick packed up his medical kit as he answered. Sometimes advanced technology makes us forget the simple solutions. We get so focused on complex problems that we miss easy answers. Vextar was quiet for a long time. He seemed to be thinking deeply about what had happened. Tell me about your people, Vextar said to Jake. How did you learn to solve problems this way? Jake sat down across from the alien commander. Humans have always had to be creative to survive. We did not start with advanced technology. We had to learn by trying different things, making mistakes, and finding new ways to overcome challenges. Give me an example. Well, thousands of years ago, humans discovered that certain molds could fight infections. We did not understand the science at first, but we knew it worked. Later, we learned to make what we call penicillin from those molds. It has saved millions of lives. Lisa joined the conversation. Or take flight. Humans watched birds for centuries and dreamed of flying. We tried many different approaches. Some failed badly, but we kept trying until we succeeded. Vextar looked interested. Your people learn by failure. Failure teaches us what does not work, Carlos said. Each failure brings us closer to success. This seemed to surprise the aliens. Draktor spoke up. In Zilithian culture, failure brings shame. We are expected to succeed on the first attempt. That must make it hard to try new things, Amy observed. Yes, Kreith said quietly. Our medical training teaches us to use proven methods only. If a treatment is not in our database, we do not attempt it. But that means you can only solve problems you have seen before, Nick said. Vexitar nodded slowly. Exactly. When my scanner could not identify the poison, I had no options. My advanced technology became useless. Jake saw an opportunity to learn more about their situation. Commander, may I ask why you came to this planet? Vextar was quiet for a moment, then decided to answer. The Zilithian Empire is having problems. We have enemies that attack us in ways we do not expect. Our traditional military tactics are not working. What kind of enemies? Lisa asked. Pirates and rebels who do not fight fair battles. They use tricks and surprise attacks. They hide in places where our sensors cannot find them. They solve problems in ways we do not understand. Amy smiled slightly. Sounds like they think creatively like humans do. Yes, and it is very frustrating for our commanders. We are trained to fight organized battles with clear rules. These enemies make their own rules. Jake began to understand something important. Commander, what if the same creative thinking that saved your life could help you with these other problems? Vextar looked at Jake with interest. What do you mean? You said these enemies use unexpected tactics. Maybe you need unexpected solutions. Maybe you need people who think differently than Zilithians do. You mean humans? I mean partners. People who can see problems from a different angle and suggest solutions you might not think of. Vextar was quiet again, thinking. His yellow eyes studied each of the humans around him. In my culture, Vextar said slowly, we believe that strength comes from power and technology. The strongest warrior with the best weapons wins. On Earth, we learned that the smartest fighter often beats the strongest fighter, Carlos said. A small human with a good plan can defeat a larger enemy. Like you defeated the poison that our advanced medicine could not treat, Kriath added. Vextar stood up slowly. He was still weak, but much stronger than before. Dr. Foster, may I examine this onion more closely? Amy handed him one of the remaining onion slices. Vextar held it carefully and smelled it. Such a simple thing, he said. It grows from the ground. It requires no technology to make. Yet it saved my life when all our advanced methods failed. The best tools are often the simplest ones, Amy said. Vextar walked over to his soldiers. Draktor, what do you think of what happened here today? The large soldier looked uncomfortable. I think I was wrong to doubt the humans, Commander. Their methods are strange, but they work. Kreeth, what does this mean for our medical knowledge? The alien medic was excited. Commander, if we could learn their natural medicine techniques, we could treat conditions that our current methods cannot handle. It would make us much more effective healers. Vextar nodded and turned back to the humans. Captain Morrison, I want to ask you something important. Go ahead. Before I was poisoned, I told you that humans would become subjects of the Zilithian Empire. I was wrong. Jake waited to hear what Vextar would say next. You could have let me die. It would have been easier for you. It might have been safer. But instead you risked your own lives to save mine using knowledge and methods I did not understand. Vextar paused and looked at his soldiers, then back at the humans. I believe my empire needs what your people have. Not as subjects, but as partners. We have technology and strength. You have creativity and wisdom. Together we might solve problems that neither of us could handle alone. Lisa stepped forward. What are you suggesting? An alliance, a partnership between our peoples. We help each other with our different strengths. Jake felt excitement building, but he tried to stay calm. That sounds good in theory, but how would it work in practice? Start small, Vextar said. Your ship is damaged. My engineers can help repair it using Zilithian technology. In return, Dr. Foster could teach our medics about natural medicine. We could share knowledge. Amy looked interested. I would love to learn about alien biology and medicine, and I would love to learn how you think of solutions we would never imagine, Kreith replied. Nick had an idea. What about those enemies you mentioned? The pirates and rebels who use unexpected tactics? Maybe some humans could help you develop new strategies to deal with them. Vextar's eyes brightened. Yes, humans who think creatively could be very valuable advisors. Carlos raised a concern. But what would the rest of your empire think? You said they consider humans primitive. They do. But I will have proof that human methods can succeed where Zilithian methods fail. I will have my own life as evidence. Draktor spoke up. Commander, the High Council will not easily accept such a change in policy. Then I will have to convince them, Vextar said. I will tell them that a dying Zilithian commander was saved by human wisdom and an onion from their lunch. I will tell them that our great medical technology was useless, but their simple knowledge worked perfectly. Jake could see that this was a huge opportunity for humanity. First contact with an advanced alien civilization, and instead of becoming slaves, they could become partners. Commander, there is one more thing to consider, Jake said. What is that? If we become partners, we need to trust each other. That means being honest, even when it is difficult. Vextar nodded. Agreed. Trust must be earned by both sides. Amy had been listening to all of this with growing excitement. Think of what we could learn from each other. Your knowledge of space travel and advanced technology, our understanding of biology and creative problem solving. It could be the beginning of something amazing, Lisa added. Vextar looked up at the sky where his ship waited in the clearing. I must report to my superiors soon. They are expecting me to return with news of human subjugation. Instead, you will return with a proposal for partnership, Jake said. Yes, and I will have the most convincing argument possible. I will be alive to make it, thanks to human help. The alien commander looked at each of the humans who had saved his life. This onion, he said, holding up the slice Amy had given him. It will change the course of history. Future generations will remember the day that human creativity and alien strength joined together. All because of a lunch sandwich, Carlos said with a smile. Vexitar smiled too, which looked strange but pleasant on his alien face. Sometimes the most important moments come from the most ordinary things. Jake watched the alien ship disappear into the sky. The Aurora was fully repaired and ready for the journey home. But more importantly, humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. Do you think the Zilithian Council will approve the alliance? Lisa asked. I think they will, Jake said. Vextar has proof that human methods work. He has examples of